I just said Pui, and you're watching the View Review.
Welcome to a special post-game edition of the Blue Review. It's not officially post-game yet, is it? You're slightly ahead of me.
I am slightly ahead of you, so I'm going to tell you what happens. I feel like I'm in a really dark room, though.
You're in a very dark room. Yes.
I'll try and move forward to get a little more light on me.
I am Marcus Grant. That is Greg Bergman. We are sitting here watching the end of Game 4 of the World Series. At this moment, the Blue Jays have a 6-2 lead over the Dodgers. Man on second, 2 away. Alex Call at the plate. With a 1-0 lead, and barring something incredibly miraculous, this series will eventually be headed back to Toronto for a game 6. There's still a game tomorrow for sure, but if the Dodgers, again, barring some sort of miracle.
What are you doing? Like, why is Varland continuing to look back at Max Muncy at second?
Max Muncy's not going anywhere, but that's a violation. So Muncy's going to get third base because Varland stepped off a third time. I don't really understand why.
Muncy's you know what? That was all on purpose. That was all on purpose. Just think of Kenley Jansen, right? It was all on purpose so that he can just not have him on second, telling him what he's gonna pitch.
All right, that's an interesting strategic thing. But you also have a 4-run lead with 2 outs. Like why are you doing this gamesmanship? You got 1 strike on Alex Call. Like, what are you doing?
It's 1 ball, 1 strike right now. I mean, we can't do play-by-play or anything.
But we're
not on the radio. We can do whatever the hell we want to.
That was weird. I don't really understand why I understand why he did that, but it was just extra. Anyway, we'll see if somehow Call can keep this thing alive and get it to Shohei, who is on deck.
Would be great.
It would be great. It would be great. Give him
there's a hit and that's the end of the game. The game is now over.
Okay.
He hits a fly ball to left field, and Miles Straw catches it, and that's the end of it. We are tied 2-2 in this series, and we are going to be back in Toronto, like you said.
He's going to be back in Toronto for a game 6. The question will remain who will have the 3-2 edge when this series gets back to Toronto. So just a quick recap of tonight. The Dodgers lose 6-2. Shohei Ohtani goes 6+ innings, is charged with 4 runs. And, the offense, I think maybe that's the bigger story tonight, Greg, that the offense just did not show up in any real way. They got a run early on Shane Bieber, and that was it. They had a few opportunities. The opportunities they got, they couldn't do anything with. On the flip side, when the Blue Jays had an opportunity, they took full advantage of it.
Yeah, the Blue Jays had the approach that the Blue Jays had was so much better than what the Dodgers had. I would have thought that the Blue Jays, and I talked about this with a few people that were at the bar for the at Spring Street Bar for the Jim Beam watch party, Dodger watch party, and we were just talking about it. Like, it should be that the Blue Jays are tired. They're coming from the East Coast. They had just got here. So they were on the East Coast. So to add 3 hours, that game ends at 12 o'clock. Let's say they get back to the hotel, which I think is in Beverly Hills, at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. You probably take about an hour before you can fall asleep. That's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're already you feel 3 hours ahead. That's 6 o'clock. You have to be back in, at the stadium, 12, 1 o'clock. You barely are getting any sleep at that point. They should have been tired. The Dodgers are at home sleeping in their nice comfy beds. They should not be tired. And they looked just completely out of gas after last night. And I think you can just tell by the at-bat quality, Marcus.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. And I thought the Blue Jays were going to have some fight in them. That's just the personality of that ball club, right? Like, they don't quit. They were down 2-0 in the ALCS after having lost 2 games. They come back, force a game 7, and eventually win that. This is a team that has a never say die attitude. So the fact that they showed up and they put together good at-bats, that part didn't surprise me.
No.
I thought we would see better at-bats out of the Dodgers. I thought they would put together a little bit more offense, a little bit more punch. And they played like they had been up all night, the offense just did not show up. And then once again, the bullpen sort of rears its ugly head. I know in that 4-run inning in the 7th, 2 of those runs get charged to Shohei, but it was another situation where, Anthony Banda sort of struggled, but more than that, it was Blake Trinan who again just kind of set everything on fire. he's not charged with a run, but gives up 2 hits, gets 1 out. Those 2 runs end up getting charged to Banda, and it's just another situation where Blake Trinan cannot, in any way, shape, or form, get the job done coming out of the bullpen for the Dodgers.
Yeah, these were your typical Dodger bullpen guys. It was Banda and Trinan, and both of them were not able to do anything once again. It's like, I understand we're tied 2-2. They had a really long day last year, but it was very much like we were saying, the pitch quality, because I'm telling you, just the little singles that they got, single, double, single. I know there was the Vladdy home run, but for the most part, they just kept the line moving. And that in that 7th inning, that's where everything happens. With this, multiple times the Dodgers had guys on base, and they have these uppercut swings. They're trying to hit the ball out of the park. They're not trying to just move the ball over. Andres Gimenez, actually, he had an RBI by just tapping a little ball because he shortened his swing and just got it right over Mookie and Muncie's head and score a run. And this is what it happens. And it's against this terrible bullpen. I don't need to see Banda or Trinan again, but I will say this: the fact that those were the guys that we saw. And I didn't even see. I was walking back for who else was actually in the game.
Jack Dreyer pitched.
Jack Dreyer, he finished out the rest of it. Great.
2 scoreless innings. Yeah,
So okay, then let's talk about it this way. It's a little bit of chess, and I think Dave Roberts, what he did was he made sure that he didn't use any leverage arms. And I don't think you see Banda. I don't think you see Trinan, because Banda couldn't get out of that inning, which is impossible when you have 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. To not give up runs is almost impossible, but especially against this team. But you didn't use leverage arms, so you have everybody ready to go tomorrow, and you have Blake Snell coming back out.
Yeah, and obviously we'll be back tomorrow to talk about this too. We can kind of get into it further. Yeah. But there are some things that have been frustrating. Seeing a lot of this in the chat too. Mookie Betts just can't find it at the plate. He's had a couple of singles. He had one late in the ball game where I think even he thought it was going to be caught, because even when he's hit the ball hard, he's had some bad luck to it. He hit kind of a soft liner that he stood at home plate, because I think he was expecting it to be caught, and it just got over the glove of Gimenez at shortstop and into left field, and then he took off for first base. But other than that, I mean, Mookie Betts has not really been a part of the offense so far, just a collection of pop-ups. But tonight it was sort of everybody. Freddie Freeman had a couple of hits. Muncie ended up with a double late in the ball game in that 9th inning, but the offense just in general, didn't show up. I mean, really last night too. I mean, we sat texting each other all night about just missed opportunities, guys swinging for the fences instead of maybe just trying to put together good at bats. And it does feel like this offense has gotten kind of homer happy and just not really putting pressure on the Jays pitching staff.
I mean, you've gotten some big hits you got a big hit from Freddie. You've had some big Teo hits, but for the most part, it's just Shohei. All we have right now is Shohei, and this has not just been this series. This has been the entire postseason. Maybe Cincy, they were a little bit better, but for the most part, this offense has been lacking for a long time. Nobody is getting the big hits. Nobody is moving guys along. This offense is not finding the hits when it matters most. Even when they have 2 guys on, we talked about it, it's just not coming through. And I just, Mookie himself has reverted, sadly, and I don't know what happened, because he was so on fire, but he's reverted back to what he was through most of the season, until he just said, forget everything. I don't even care about anything. I'm just going to go out and help my team win. Since he's gone back to the old pop-out Mookie, because that's what all he's doing is just pop-ups. And it's not, and really, Marcus, it's not even just him right now. Everybody, pop-up, 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 pop-up. I mean, it's really frustrating to watch, and especially when you see the 2 different approaches like we were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, is that you watch the Blue Jays sort of grind out at bats, not a lot of swing and miss, just put the ball in play. I mean, look, Vlad got a mistake and he hammered it, right? That's what you do with it. I mean, Shohei threw a curveball that just didn't break. It was just a spinner up in the zone, and Vlad crushed it. But other than that, they just have really good at bats. And look, it was, I think, sort of noteworthy that Shohei struck out 6 guys tonight. Dreyer ended up with 3 strikeouts himself. But this is not a team that does that a lot. They put the ball in play, whereas the Dodgers, I mean, it's amazing. They only struck out 7 times, but it just feels like they're not having quality at bats, and I don't know. I felt at some point like it was going to turn, like maybe they were going to start to put something together, and they just never did. They kind of let Bieber off the ropes, and then couldn't do anything really against the bullpen until they just scratched out kind of an inconsequential run in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the 7th inning again. I mean, the 7th inning came back to bite us once again because that's been the theme of the season. But it was definitely the 7th inning, and Shohei was fine. He was good.
Fine.
It was a 2-1 game. He gave up the one shot to Vladdy, but he was striking guys out. We talk so much about this team for the Blue Jays that they don't strike out a lot. They struck out 8 times against Yamamoto, and I think 15 times in the game. They struck out, I think, 15 or 16 times yesterday. They struck out like 9 or 10 times today. They're striking out this series. You can get them. You just can't. You have to jump on a pitcher one time. You have to get the guys moving around and push that up. And when it's Trey Savage tomorrow, they had 15 base runners against Trey Savage in his short outing in game 1, and they only got 2 runs out of it. That can't happen again tomorrow. You have to get on base again. You have to put a lot of pressure on them, and then you have to actually get the big hit and not swing for the 3-run home run. Just move guys along. I know I've said this now 3 or 4 separate times, but that's very much what the problem is right now. I don't even think it's so much the Blue Jays. I feel like Blue Jays are a great team and how they hit. But if this game was 6-2 for the Dodgers because they actually got to Bieber when they had the chances, and instead of it being 2-1 in the 7th, that's a completely different game. And so it's just, you probably don't go to Bonda there. You may go to Bonda, but you don't go to Trinan. Things change if you can actually get runs home, and this team doesn't win unless they get 5 runs. 2 in a World Series game is never, ever, ever going to get it done.
No, it's not. And look, I mean, we'll dive into this tomorrow for sure. I do feel like part of why the 7th inning happened the way it did was sort of because Dave Roberts saw it going the way it did, right? He was really trying to hold off on getting to the bullpen. He was, I think, hoping that Shohei could somehow get through that 7th inning, especially when you had kind of the bottom part of the order coming up. I mean, it was what, 6, 7, 8, I think we're up. So Varsho starts, with the single, then Clement hits the double, and then that was the end of Shohei. And at that point, the drama was set in motion. Then we know sort of how the rest of it went. But I think Dave was trying to just hope against all hope that somehow Shohei could get him 3 more outs, and then they would figure out from that point how to navigate through the 8th and 9th. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and so here we are. So
I mean, when you get 2 on, 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out in the 7th inning, you're not getting through that. That was your hope. Keep it at 2-1. Yeah. But I see this in the chat from Thomas Vizek. Pajes better not play again. Okay, let's talk about that just for just a moment, and then we can do whatever you like here. But if you don't go with Pajes, do you want Alex Call to be? I mean, because that's who it is. And we've seen the at-bat qualities from Alex Call. That's who you want instead. There is a world, which I don't know if Dave wants to actually do it. I know he put him out there later, but there's a world that you put Edman in center and Miguel Rojas at second. That's a world that exists. I don't know if they're going to do that, but Pajes is the best arm. He's not in there to get hits. He just missed the home run. But either way, he's not in there to get hits. He's there for his arm. Now, it didn't matter, but he's there for his arm.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's something of a deterrent out in the outfield to try to keep guys from taking extra bases. There are no good, easy answers there, right? Because, you lose obviously something in terms of defense and your outfield arms when you take Pajes out of the lineup. You're not going to put Alex Call in there. The at bat, his first at bat was awful tonight. His last at bat to end the ball game, he, I guess, made solid contact, but it ended up, amounting for nothing. So it is sort of the dilemma. And I think as much as everybody's frustrated, I get it. I understand the frustration with Andy Pajes. I'm not sure there's a simple answer. Maybe it is Edman in center and Rojas at second base. But, if Edman's ankle is still not fully right, that could come into play as well too. So, hey,
there's a lot of Mookie Betts stuff out here. There's more of it still. Move Mookie down in the lineup. I forgot who said that there, but it was Thomas Vizic again. People are asking for missing Conforto. No, 100%.
No, we're not doing that.
We're not getting into that world because
we're not doing that.
But also, if you hate everybody on this team and you don't want any of them to play, who do you actually want out there? It's always not about saying pull this guy or pull that guy. It's about who else goes instead of that. And there isn't a lot on that bench. The only possible move is Edman to center, and which, I mean, his ankle is what his ankle is. Move Edman to center and Rojas into second, and that's the best you can possibly ask for.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the only answer right now. But having said all of that, I would prepare yourself to see Andy Pages back there in the bottom of the order coming up tomorrow night. So at this point, it is a best of 3 series. The Blue Jays do take home field advantage back with the win tonight. So we know that for sure there will be a game 6. It will be back in Toronto. But, look, the Dodgers, if nothing else, you got to like their chances just because they line up with Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Tyler Glasnow if it has to get to a game 7. But you certainly like their chances against Trey Savage and who would be this?
Be Scherzer.
No,
be Gosman.
Kevin Gosman.
Kevin Buck Gosman.
So at least on paper, the Dodgers have the advantage pitching wise. It's just a question of whether the offense shows up and can generate anything outside of the occasional Shohei Ohtani home run. So we'll be back tomorrow. Going to talk about all of it, dive in a little bit deeper as well, and get you ready for Game 5 of the series. But the Blue Jays take Game 4, 6-2, the final score. World Series all tied up at 2 games apiece. So appreciate y'all jumping in. I know it was a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. Hopefully y'all had a chance to vent a little bit in the chat. If not, you'll have a chance tomorrow to vent some more.
Yeah, there was one guy that was very much wanted to vent at me. So I answered him in the chat, but Anthony Martinez, I hope that I made you feel better. He said, Greg, you can't even hit a softball. And I said, does that make you feel better about the loss? And he said, oh, great. I think we're in the same space, and that I'm glad that I made you feel better after this loss. That's the point of it.
Hey, man, this is all about being cathartic is what it is. So have a chance for that again tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. Thanks to Carlo for getting us up and on. And thank you to, I guess, the Dodgers and Blue Jays for letting us do this at a reasonable time tonight.
Yeah, get to sleep. I'm going right to bed when I get home.
As opposed to last night. So anyway, that'll do it for this special edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. Appreciate y'all hanging in there. For Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. Be sure to check us out tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. right here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Go Dodgers. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
See it.
See it.
Yeah.